Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Package Tourist, hosted by yours truly, the Package Tourist, the magical mystery tour called life, Matthew DiBiase. Tonight's guest is Civil War historical fiction author Tom O'Connor. Tom resides in North Carolina. Before he became a novelist, Tom was a West Point Academy graduate who served in the U.S. Army. After he left the military, he worked as an outside sales manager and then owned his own sales company. After he retired in 2018, Tom has devoted his years to writing Civil War fiction and a child's book. In 2025, Tom released his first book, a child's book titled Brooks's Bubble Adventure, and then last May of this year, he released his first book in his Steel and Honor series, Cadets to Captains, 1848 to 1860. And then this past July, Tom released his second book in the Steel and Honor series, Antietam, From Secession to the Bloodiest Day. Tonight, we will pay tribute to Tom's writing career. Tom, welcome to the show. It's a great honor and privilege to have you here.
Well, Matt, first let me thank you for inviting me to participate in the very kind words. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Tom, your Steel and Honor series features two characters named James Tanner and Nathaniel McAllister. Would you please share with our listeners their backgrounds, their personalities, and their goals as soldiers, and which character represents the North and which man represents the South?
Okay, to start with these, I start with two graduates of the class of 1848. Nathaniel McAllister is the son of a career Federal Army officer, Colonel Thomas McAllister, who goes back to the War of 1812 with General Winfield Scott. So he is a lifelong, like me, Army brat. James Tanner comes from the other side. His father is an esteemed judge in Northern Virginia, Arlington. He grows up in that environment. So they both come from well-to-do families from that period of time. In 1848, they are just more interested in becoming Federal Army officers. They're not concerned about what's going on in the world about them. Their concerns are primarily technical. James Tanner is the smart one. He ends up in the top of his class and gets his engineer badge. So, and when he graduates, and McAllister becomes an artillery officer. So at the outset of the book, I don't give them much of a feeling towards the North and South or anything like that. But as the book goes on, that starts to come.
Okay. Now, with regards to James Tanner, he lives in Arlington. Is the Tanner family a slave-holding family? Do they own slaves?
Yes, of course they are, being an elite family in Northern Virginia, but they don't have big property, so they just have domestic slaves to help around the house and support the judge. So it's not a big issue at that point. One of the things I do with the book, and one of the things that my reviewers really like, is the book is just not about the two officers. It also includes their families. They get married during the book. They have children. Their parents are still involved throughout the series. So I used the other characters in the book to show situational awareness of what's going on at that time in the Americas. So you do see what's going on with slavery, both North and South, in the books.
Okay. Out of curiosity, one last thing about James Tanner. Now, he lives in Arlington. Of course, someone named Robert E. Lee also lived in Arlington before the war. Do they happen to be neighbors?
They are neighbors. We will get to that in the book. You asked me about describing the book later on.
Yeah.
But you're kind of getting your questions ahead of yourself right now.
Yeah.
But
okay. McAllister, what state does the McAllisters hail from, Tom?
they're from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And in the books, they live in Harrisburg,
Ooh.
Pennsylvania, capital of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So they're near everything. Also, there's this. I get the mothers involved in the first book. That the sons got posted out in Texas, and the mothers want to get the sons back to the East Coast, and they have a little contriving period where they get together and they get General Scott involved and everything, and get the boys back to the East Coast. And one of the assignments is for James Tanner gets an assignment up at West Point after he gets married, and that's under Robert E. Lee, and Robert E. Lee becomes a mentor to him. So he has a good relationship throughout the book series with Robert E. Lee, back and forth, and Robert E. Lee looks at him as one of his soldier sons.
That's great. Now let's talk. We're going to go backwards. We're going to move backwards. We're going to start with your most recent book in the Steel and Honor series. Okay, let's talk about your latest release, Antietam, From Secession to the Bloodiest Day. Just take our audience through it. What is the book? What does the book talk about? Okay, what are our characters?
So, Antietam is the second book in the 5-book series.
Ooh.
So it spans an 18-month period. Essentially starts at another West Point graduation in 1860 because we bring on Andrew McAllister into the book. You see Andrew in the first book as a young boy, and he grows up, and now he's like 12 years younger than his older brother, and now he's becoming a West Point graduate. He also is top of his class and is an engineer. I kind of had to add Andrew to the book so that I could expand and show more issues that I wanted to cover in the books, so that I'd have 3 protagonists, not just 2, that could expand what we're seeing because there's a lot of battles in the Civil War, if you haven't noticed.
Oh, yea, verily, I know it. I've been all the major battlefields, Tom, in my lifetime.
No, you haven't.
Oh, well,
no, you haven't.
The big ones.
You know
the big ones.
You know there are 382 battles.
Yeah.
Official battlefields.
Yeah, just the big ones, the very, very big ones, Tom. The big major ones.
We all think we've been to the main battlefields, but then, there's a lot more.
Oh, I know. Quite true. Okay, when Fort Sumter is fired upon, where is Nathaniel McAllister located at when Fort Sumter is fired upon?
When Fort Sumter's fired upon, Nathaniel is in Texas with the 2nd Cavalry.
Ooh.
And if you're familiar with the 2nd Cavalry, it's a who's who of all the future generals.
Yeah.
And it's also was a place where they were doing a lot of experimenting with repeating rifles and telegraphs and other types of new technology that was coming on in the Civil War.
Yeah. Okay. Where is James Tanner located when Fort Sumter is fired upon?
Prior to Fort Sumter being fired on, James is an engineer, so he's working for the Corps of Engineers out of Washington City, directly to the chief engineer, Colonel Toten. But prior to that, he has been down and checked all the fortifications that are up and down the east coast of the U.S., and he's now back at Washington City, and he's reporting into the chief of engineers at that time.
Okay, before we get to Antietam, are Mr. Tanner and Mr. McAllister there at the First Battle of Manassas?
No, neither one of them are at Manassas, but Andrew is.
Okay.
Andrew gets to see some of it because Andrew starts out in working on fortifications in Washington City, but is pulled off and is another technology issue that I pushed in the book, is working with the railroads.
Okay.
And he's working with the railroads and is at Manassas Junction when First Manassas and happens. And so he sees it. So let me step back. One of the things that this is a nonfiction book, and I can't have my protagonist influencing the outcomes, but they're more observers of what's happening.
Okay. All right, let's take it to the next major engagements, the Peninsular Campaign. Are they there at either Montana or McAllister at 7 days battles?
No, neither one of them are there. Again, young Andrew is down in the Peninsula, and he's under General Porter's command down there, and he's experimenting with balloons, of all things.
Okay.
And it's kind of a humorous scene, but it is something that happened, kind of, and there was a Professor Lowe who was a big advocate of balloons back then.
Yes.
Balloons never made it in the Army at that time because they weren't defensible. People would shoot at them, and it was very dangerous up there.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, how about the second Battle of Bull Run or the second Manassas? Are any of them involved in that?
Again, Andrew is working with the railroads and sees stuff that's going on at that point.
Okay, now we come to the Battle of Antietam. Okay. Okay. Are James and Nathaniel there at Antietam? Are they?
Well, I'm disappointing you left and right here today.
It's okay.
No, Nathaniel is out west, and he's been with Grant.
Ooh.
And helping Grant in his exploits out with Fort Donaldson and so forth. And James first was reassigned by Lee when he switches over to the Confederacy. Lee puts him in to go work with Colonel Whiting at that time to go work on the fortifications. Okay. I'll get to you'll figure it out when you ask me about the first book later.
Okay. Yeah.
But the other thing, he stays there for a short time, but his expertise is needed because he also is requested to go work at the Augusta powder mills to help set that up.
Okay.
And as we get into the conversation, you'll see why.
One last thing about Nathaniel. He's with Grant. Is he at Shiloh?
He kind of gets at Shiloh. I don't really cover Shiloh that deeply.
Okay.
He's there, but and he knows, and you know what happened.
Yeah.
But we don't really get into Shiloh.
Okay. And either of your two, so I take it. I had a question in the second book. So James and Nathaniel have no real close encounter with each other during any of the battles then, right? Since they seem to be so far apart. They never have a close encounter on the battlefield in the volume 2, correct?
That is correct, but there are 3 more books to happen.
Give it time. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about the first book. Since we're going backwards in your Steel and Honor series. Okay, let's talk about Cadets to Captains, 1848 to 1860. Now, you said they're class of 48. Now, are Tanner and McAllister able to serve, in the Mexican War by any chance?
So, 1848, they just missed the Mexican War, but they both get assigned down to Texas.
Okay.
So they get to meet several of the officers who were in the Mexican War and see what this victorious army was like. There was only 10,000 soldiers down in the Mexican War, so it was not a big army of any sort at that time.
Yeah.
So they get to meet a lot of the people, and in the first book you'll recognize the names of people that they meet and who will show up again later in the story as generals.
I was looking through. I think was it the cadets, the captains. You have was it Tanner or is it McAllister actually serves an observer at the Crimean War? Is that correct?
Okay, so let me go back and one of the things that I wanted to do with this whole series is to show how this army that was just coming off of this big victory in the Mexican War, how outdated it was.
Yeah.
And how the army was really desperately trying to modernize itself.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that they did this, and this was by directive of Secretary of Defense Jefferson Davis.
Yeah.
They set up the Delafield Commission to go over to Europe. So there were only 3 officers that went on the Delafield Commission, but somehow my 2 young officers, Nate and James, get assigned to the Delafield Commission as junior support officers. They get to go see the gunpowder mills in Britain, which were state of the art at the time.
Yeah.
And got to know how they were put together and got to meet the people intimately there. And then they saw the French flying balloons. They went and they were down at the Crimea War.
Yeah.
And they saw how the fortifications down at Crimea War needed to be changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as I said earlier, if you ask me that question first, and then you'd understand why James got his assignments and why Nate got some of his assignments.
Okay. I'd just like to tell our listeners, if memory serves me correctly, the future Army of Potomac General McClellan, he was part of an observer and the Crimean War. Is that correct, Tom?
He certainly was.
Yeah.
That is correct. There was Delafield, a gentleman named Mordecai, and McClellan.
Yeah.
And McClellan, of the 3 officers, had the lowest class rank of all 3 of them out of West Point. They were all 3 of them were either 1, 2, or 3 in their class. So they were very highly thought of officers. And McClellan was the junior officer of the 3.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, and he was his assignment there was to learn about cavalry.
Okay.
And one of the things people don't, he designed the saddle that the U.S. Army rode from 1860 to 1910, something when they got rid of horses.
That's right, McClellan
they
saddle.
The design yep.
Yeah, yeah. I'd just like to tell our listeners, Tom here mentioned Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis was Secretary of War during the Franklin Pierce presidency from 1853 to 1857, and was very much involved in the modernization of tactics, weaponry, training, especially improving the quality of the officer corps of the U.S. Army at the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely was.
Okay. Yeah.
And other things other things that he was thinking of doing that might be a little controversial that you'll see that he did in the book.
Yeah, yeah. Tom, let's talk about your first book, Brooks's Bubble Adventure. What led you to start off your literary career with a child's book?
Well, let me go back. We had a wonderful week with my granddaughter and my grandson. He's 4 years old. He's a very curious young man with a lot of energy. And while he was here, we had a very fun 3 or 4 days of just playing with bubble wands. And we went to a place in Myrtle Beach. We call it the Bubble House in the book. Yes. Where they use bigger bubble wands, and it had all sorts of fun stuff to do with bubbles there. So I was having fun with that, and I'm also a very big advocate of AI tools. And one of the things I use the books for is as a forum to learn how to be better at AI myself.
Yeah.
So I use a lot of AI, and I use it in developing these books. I use it for doing my research and planning, outlining the books, editing the books, things like that. But I'm the one that has the last word. You know, I am the historian for the books. I do base. It's amazing what the AI will tell you, and you can say, "Not really. That's not true."
Yep.
And you have to listen to it, and you have to really, know what you're talking about when you're dealing with the AI, especially if you're writing with it.
Okay, Tom, let's talk about you now. Where were you born and raised?
So I was born at Fort Devens, Massachusetts. I went to 13 schools before I graduated from Danbury High School in Connecticut.
Okay.
That was in 1969. My father was an a career Army officer. My mother was a nurse. I guess going to West Point was the first time I went to one school for 4 years in a row.
Okay. So
I have a pretty diverse area. I've lived all over the country, in Germany and other, lots of places while I was growing up.
Was it difficult securing your appointment to West Point, Tom? I mean, that's amazing that you got in. I mean, that's no ordinary thing. I mean, how difficult was it to secure your appointment?
Well, there's a whole process about doing that, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I had good grades and all that, and I went through all the processes, and you got to do PT, you got to do extra writing and all that, and applying to my congressman, and it was a late appointment in 1969. What was happening back then was because of the growth of Vietnam, they needed to grow the officer corps.
Yeah.
So they grew the cadet corps by probably about, our class was probably at that time maybe 500 people larger than the previous classes.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they had all these extra billets. If I had not gone to West Point, I had an ROTC scholarship with Washington Lee University. Again, so you know where that goes.
Yeah.
And also with a scholarship to be on their law program, which was a 6-year law program.
Yeah.
So I've been involved and loved history for a long time, even before I was, got involved with West Point.
Did you do a tour of duty in Vietnam, Tom?
My class was the first class that was not allowed to go to Vietnam. My father was in Vietnam in the Mekong Delta, and I said that was my dad's last war, because he was in the end of the Second War, and then he missed the Korean War. That's a really funny story, but then he was in Vietnam, and then he died an early death because of Agent Orange. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What year was his tour of duty in Vietnam, Tom?
He was there from 67 to 68, for almost 18 months. Then he was there.
He was there for Tet?
Yes.
Oh boy! I mean, what was he? I Corps, 2 Corps, 3 Corps? What was his AO?
He was in the Mekong Delta.
Okay.
His brigade. Get this! In the brigade, they started training for it at Fort Riley, Kansas, the driest place you can think.
Yeah.
And they did all their training, AIT training and everything at Fort Riley. And then they were told, "Oh, you're going to be the riverine force. We're going to put you on Navy ships in the Mekong River Delta." So they were down in the Mekong River Delta.
What was his division, may I please ask?
He was in the 9th Division, 2nd Brigade.
Wow, jeez. I mean,
Colonel Bill Fulton was his brigade commander. Bill ended up being a 3-star general.
Lots of immersion foot down there in the Delta. I mean, I read Dave Hackworth's book. He talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, bad. So, when did you start becoming a Civil War buff, Tom?
I was a Civil War buff officially from high school. But, I go back, if you go back and look at the books that I was reading all through elementary school and everything, I was always the guy reading all the biographies about all the leaders of our country, and that included all the generals at that time. So I've been interested from day one. As you can see, I was very happy that I was going to go to Washington Lee University to be in the heart of it.
Yes. Tom, who's your favorite? Okay, who's your favorite Civil War general for both sides? Let's talk about the North. Who's your favorite Northern general?
I think my favorite Northern, the easy one is to say Grant and Lee for that question, but I like George Thomas.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think he's getting a bit of a rehabilitation and all that, because I remember reading in American Heritage, one historian really did a good job of rehabbing him, saying vastly underrated and all that.
There are two regrets I have about the biographies of Civil War. Number one regret was that Robert E. Lee never wrote his own biography.
Yep.
I think there would have been a whole different world of discussion about the Civil War if he had put his own words down.
Yeah.
It would have shut down a lot of, conjecture about what he thought.
Yeah.
And he did leave a lot of letters and stuff, but I've read 3 or 4 of his biographies and from different angles, but it's still, nothing beats Grant's memoirs.
Yep.
I mean, he lays it out.
Yep.
And if Lee would have been able to do that, that would have made a whole big difference for the way we look at the Civil War today. The other person that died early, relatively speaking, was George Thomas.
Yeah.
And George Thomas was always, beaten down because he was a Virginia colonel who stayed. But in the real world, there were 8 colonels in the Federal Army who were Virginian.
Yep.
7 of them stayed.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
There was only one that didn't stay in the Union Army, and they wanted him to stay.
Yeah, yeah. But then, but you also had some Northerners who fought for the Confederacy, like Pemberton, Vicksburg, Jedediah Hotchkiss, Stonewall Jackson's cartographer. New Hampshire Yankee, but he was a states' rights person. Yeah.
But it's amazing what these men do for their women.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They all married Southern women.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Confederate general other than Lee?
So I go to the other side. I like the next level down. I like Longstreet. I think Longstreet was a straight shooter, but he. After the war, the Lost Cause people really just ate his lunch because he flipped over and was supporting Grant.
Yep.
But he was really the heart of the Army of Northern Virginia.
Yep. Okay. Have you ever done ancestral research? Did any of your ancestors serve in the fight in the Civil War? Have you ever done any tracings like that?
I'm an Irishman who came over here. His family came over here probably in the 1880s. So I don't go back that far.
Yeah.
But I know that's a big issue. And one of the things I've done, using my AI tools, I've decided I'd create an ancestry app. I call it Muster Roll. Mm-hmm. And you can go on my website and click on it, and it's going to ask you for your email and information because I got to collect that information.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's free. But I've had people come, and there's a database by the National Park Service that's got 6.2 million men in it from the Civil War.
Yep.
And you can put their names in it. It will give you their names and tell you what units and stuff that they. So it's a different way to get that information. You don't have to go to the National Park Service to get it.
Yeah.
But one of the neat things I did is, I don't know if you've ever been to the Army Museum, which now is in Fort Belvoir.
No, I don't think so. I have no recollection. No, I probably didn't. I should.
It's a relatively new museum, but they have a wall outside there that lists all the names of every Medal of Honor winner on it.
Wow. Yeah.
And when you go to that wall and you look at the wall, over half the wall are people from the Civil War.
Yeah.
Because the reason for that is in the Civil War, that was the only medal they gave out.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but half of all the Medal of Honor winners are from the Civil War. So one of the things I did is I linked that list up to that NPS database. So if your ancestry won or was awarded the Medal of Honor during the Civil War, it links it and tells you that.
Yeah.
And not a week after I published the Ancestry muster roll, I had a lady send me an email. I had no clue that my ancestor had won the Medal of Honor. So it's been pretty nice to see it. Yeah. And I've had other people say, I found all 4 of my great-grandfathers there.
Yeah. Tom, my mother came from the South. She was born in North Carolina, and I did tracings. And I have actually stood where, like my mother's great-great-uncle, he fought for Lee. He and his younger brother fought for Lee, and he was at Antietam. He was in Branch's brigade in A.P. Hill's Light Division. He took part in that charge that penetrated 600 yards into the Yankee lines at the day's end and all that, saved the day for Lee. Yeah.
No, I think this little app that I put together, I also created another, I call it Battles app, which also lists all 382 battles.
Yeah.
It will give you the order of battle for both sides.
Yeah.
It gives you a synopsis of the battle, and in 374 of the battles, it gives you the map.
Yep.
Right now I'm missing 8 maps.
Okay.
So I'm going to put a letter out or an email out asking people if they have a map for those 8 battles, if they can send them to me digitally that I can download them.
Okay. Tom, whenever
we're all in this together.
Yeah. Tom, whenever I interview an author on my show, I always love to ask the standard question. Who were your favorite authors when you were growing up? And of those favorite authors, did any of them light the spark inside you to become a writer or perhaps influence your writing style?
So I won't say growing up I had favorite authors because I was reading biographies, which were, put together for kids. That's what I wrote. I read a lot of, and then I read, and since then, I read a lot of books on different battles and biographies of when Grant and Lee and Longstreet and all the others. I don't have a favorite, historical author. McCullough's a great guy. I love some of his books.
Yeah.
My light reading, I like to read David Baldacci and James Patterson. That's what I do now.
Okay.
When I want to take a break from the heavy reading that I'm doing, I'll do that.
Yeah. Tom, please tell our audience, where can readers find your books and what is your web address?
Okay, you can find my books on Amazon. They're all formats on Amazon are there. It's also published the books on Ingram Spark, so you can also find them on Barnes & Noble and Apple Books and Google Books and things like that. Ingram Sparks opens you up to all the different platforms.
Okay.
My website is TomFoconnor3.com. TomFOconnor3.com.
Okay.
You can find that. The 2 apps. I also did an index of all of the 382 battles, which tells you who won, which side won, and which side lost. Yep. It's kind of amazing. You kind of watch them go up and down, who's winning the battles during the different years, because it's in chronological order.
Yep. Tom, what will be your next book project, and when can we expect its release?
So my next book is that you will see Gettysburg and Vicksburg, Summer of Decision. Okay, it is right now. I have to do some reviewing of the editing that the publisher just sent back to me tonight. I expect will be released in the next 2 weeks. I hope to have it done by the end of the month. I am also working on my second children's book because the kids were here a couple weeks ago, and I promised them that I would make one more book for them, and I'm doing that. Book number 4 in the series is Chickamauga and Chattanooga. Lines of Command is the subtitle. That manuscript is done, and when the publisher publishes the book number 3, I'll give the publisher this manuscript, and we'll get that out, and then we'll have that out by September. My next project really is to sit down and do book number 5.
Yeah.
Which will be really goes out to 1866. Yeah. It will be it covers the full arc of what I'm trying to cover right here.
Yeah.
And has something to do with General Scott.
Yeah.
But that book should be out in early November, so that I have all 5 books out for the Christmas book buying season.
Wow. Okay, Tom.
So that's my goal right now.
Yeah, you're quite busy. Yeah, Tom. Yeah. I want to thank you so much for appearing on the show, and I'd love to have you. I'd like to have you back again. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You take care, and you have you good luck in all your endeavors. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Bye-bye.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for next week's show, where I'll be interviewing author Laura Allen Ornelas. And I'd just like to remind my listeners that my book, Patriarchs of the Dugout, Baseball's Greatest Managers, is still on sale at Amazon at 25% off. You just type in the title, Patriarchs of the Dugout, Baseball's Greatest Managers, or just type in my name, Matthew DiBiase, MattheWdibiase. Thank you very much, and good night.